Oh, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
In Japan, when we make a presentation, we don't walk around, only singing karaoke. So please allow me to have a seat, and I will do my presentation in my regular or ordinary way. Okay. First, I'd like to point out the people's desire for the future, and next propose a challenge to the communications industry. Let me start by showing how people's behavior and lives have changed in this digitalized society. Due to the enormous amount of the information, look at this, it's very increasing dramatically. Although people have tried to absorb this flood, but we can't. This is the amount that people can absorb. We have a huge surplus of information. How did we react? We defend ourselves from the flood by building barriers against unnecessary information. People try to receive just the information they need. Here Google appeared. Yes, people are now sharing for the, people are now searching for the necessary information. In addition, consumer-generated media like Facebook appeared. In Japan, Mixi dominates the market. Yes, we are now sharing our evaluations. As a result, people's behavior as consumers has changed. AIDMA or AIDA is a widely accepted consumer behavior model, but this AIDMA cannot explain current consumer behavior effectively. After attention and interest, consumers are now searching for the evaluation of the product and comparing it with other brands. After that, they buy the product in the action and stage and share their evaluation with others. Therefore, current consumer behavior is described through this ISIS model. This is not a one-way model, but circular one. People's evaluations will be searched by other people. In 2004, Dentsu trademarked this ISIS model. Web communication is now helping us, but there are some problems. Its credibility has been reduced. Data and information on the web are sometimes incorrect, and people can say whatever they like. This questionnaire focuses upon the future significance of SNS and indicates that the less people will be using it. People are getting tired of checking the credibility. This shows its short life. SNS is recognized as a not very promising medium. We began to notice that when it comes to critical issues, web communication is not sufficient. Real face-to-face communication and actual experience are important. Next, let's look at the entertainment. Playing personal and network games at home is very popular. 90% of children play games on TV in Japan. This survey shows how kids today spend their summer vacation compared with that of how their parents did. Again, TV games, video games. Kids in Japan are very busy studying for high school entrance exams. As a result, they have less time to play outside with friends. I had an interview with Miyuki Miyagi, a research consultant, about the current situation in children's perception. She pointed out that when children grow older, they began to realize the importance of togetherness, talking, arguing, crying, and laughing. As they become teenagers, they start to value the significance of having real life experiences with other people. So I think people will open their doors and go out looking for them. People will desire actual life experiences more in this digitalized society. Here I propose a challenge to the communications industry to give people more real experiences. At this stage, one question arises. What kind of universal issues attract people from all over the world, besides political and religious issues? For many decades, sporting events have attracted people. But which sporting events are most popular and are able to attract and unite people on a global scale? Needless to say, the Olympics Games are. There are no borders in the spirit of fair play and appreciation of magnificent performances. Next, what is the key universal theme that can attract people throughout the world? I analyzed the top grossing 50 movies made so far and found the most popular theme: space. 11 out of 50 have a theme related to space. Space has been so popular and attractive theme for people all over the world. Yeah. There are many popular space heroes. Space unites people in a global perspective, usually fighting against aliens. In this way, the Olympics and space are universal issues that can attract people globally. Considering all these things, I propose Olympics on the moon. I believe the Olympics on the moon would be a totally new entertainment that would attract people globally. Now I'd like to describe what the Moon Olympics would look like and how it could be implemented. First, new ways to win games would be invented. For example, 100-meter dash. Imagine on the moon, what would be the best way to move from here to there? Running? Jumping? I assume it would be a mixture, but backwards, because running backwards would be faster. It's like just like this. In high jump, the back flip technique, back flip technique. Okay? We need move. Back flip is more popular than the traditional forward roll. This indicates that back kick generates more power than forward stepping. Two guys are running and jumping backward. Please watch closely. Sorry, small picture. Okay. So the moonwalk, Michael Jackson, would be the regular walk on the moon. Okay, gymnastic would be also interesting. Do you know the moon salt? Okay. The moon salto. Salto means jump in German. I confirmed. Okay. So moon jump sort of was performed by the Japanese gymnast Mitsuo Tsukahara for the first time at the Munich Olympics in 1972. A rear headlock, twice loop, and a crinkle. Can you imagine that? I was searching for the video, but in vain, sorry. Like this, you know. And it was beyond anyone's expectations at the time, and was called something like a performance only possible on the moon. So it was called the moon salto. On the moon, even more unbelievable performances could be tried. So besides running and gymnastics, we can imagine many other interesting new ways to win the games. And of course, they would be a lot of fun. In addition, new rules would be set to make the games more exciting. How about jumping? It would be very difficult to make a controlled jump. In the case of pole jumping, what would happen? Here you are. If you can't control the jump, you may fly off into space. A time limit would need to be set. You would need to finish jumping within that limited time frame. For instance, 1 minute. Surely, new athletic games would be also be invented. Are you familiar with the game Quidditch in Harry Potter? No? Quidditch is played on broomsticks. Broomstick in the stadium up in the air. In the 1990s, before Harry Potter, an American scientist announced his idea for zero-G space soccer. This is his conceptual drawing of what space soccer may look like. It looks like Quidditch, doesn't it? Okay, can you imagine what new throwing games might be invented? You can throw it up in the sky, but a ball will not come back on the moon. It might land on the earth, but it would burn up. Instead of an iron ball, how about a paper airplane? You might say, oh, it will burn up too, but paper airplanes can land on the earth. It has been proven that a paper airplane made from a special paper can fly from space to the earth without burning up. This paper airplane flies down so slowly that the temperature doesn't reach 200 centigrade. And thanks to the special quality of the paper, it does not burn up. Another interesting competition would be a timed paper airplane race from space to Earth. Next, how to implement the Moon Olympics. This is going to be tough. Huge advancements in technologies would be needed. At the same time, we need to cooperate with space institutes, related industries, and astronauts. I contacted JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, with my Moon Olympics idea and received a good response. Mr. Miwada, manager of Industrial Collaboration Group, said that space development is similar to the development of the South Pole. There are no borders. Through the Moon Olympics idea, we would expect peaceful developments in space. He showed some interesting experiments. One is between the space industry and the Olympics. Carbon fiber reinforced plastics, CFRP, is the main material of rocket bodies. To strengthen quality of their sleds, the Japanese Winter Olympics luge team is actually using and testing this material. This paper airplane project is actually also another experiment of JAXA's. Another collaboration is between a shoe manufacturer and a Russian astronaut. They are developing space shoes, just like those for athletes. Well, the fashion industry has already paid attention to the space. Space fashion shows have already held. Next, astronauts. Japanese astronauts have already started to perform some experiments related to the Moon Olympics. JAXA conducted a survey on what space experiments children found most interesting. The number one interest was physical exercises, such as gymnastics, backflips, and so on. Here are the pictures. This April, Mr. Wakata actually performed these experiments on the International Space Station. He tried backflips and side turn and so on. He also performed magic carpet. It's a carpet, and this might be a new game in space too. Moon Olympics would be a big challenge, so to implement it, we would need pre-Olympics. Okay, we could hold pre-Moon Olympics on the Earth. Guess where? Underwater. As you might know, underwater is the place where astronauts train for space, so space athletes would also need to train underwater. And of course, planning and executing capability is also required. I believe this is something that our communications industry can do. We have already several attempts to utilize the mediums of outer space and rockets for advertising. The first space travel promotion was launched by Pepsi. It's going to the moon in Japanese. The space shuttle had started to look like a Formula 1 race car by Yahoo. This is the TV commercial shooting in a Russian rocket. This was a joint project between Dentsu and Nasuda. These are the emblems. Oh, Nasuda is formerly known as JAXA, Japanese Space Agency. This space promotion freedom got a Cannes Award, as you may know. So I contacted Satoshi Takamatsu, the leading space authority in the art industry, who did the jobs, and we had his presentation in Tokyo. So regarding the Moon Olympics, he indicated the importance of the financial issue. Regarding the Moon Olympics, he indicated the importance of the financial issue and suggested to establish the right to broadcast it for sponsors. He mentioned this new business could be initiated like Dentsu's Olympics business with IOC. Okay, it's time for Dentsu to attempt the Moon Olympics. Recently, Dentsu introduced the corporate slogan, Good Innovation. You may remember this logo that Kawami-san showed in Tokyo. One of Dentsu's business areas in sports marketing is being an agent for the International Olympic Committee. The 1984 Los Angeles Olympics was the first Olympics that had full-scale sponsorship. Do you remember this, Igu-san? I proposed. I already started to work at that time. Okay. And I proposed this Igu-san character for Toyota's promotion. And that was the Dentsu's first sponsorship business regarding Olympics. Dentsu tried another innovative space business venture with NASA, the sun wave race in space. But unfortunately, this hasn't been implemented yet. So far, Dentsu has supported Tokyo's bid for 2016 Olympics, but from now on, we will start the campaign for future Olympics to be held on the moon as well. As for broadcasting from the moon, a high-definition camera has already been set in space. I assume that negotiations with broadcasting companies would not be so difficult. Of course, it depends on sponsors. Google, again Google, may be a good one to start with. Google has just started getting into the space business this month. This is the Google Moon celebrating the 40th anniversary of Apollo 11. This is not in my thesis. I forgot. I found it later. Okay, finally, the budget. This is the most critical issue. Although the President Obama has announced a space development plan, the budget for such space development isn't that sufficient. Money from the private sector could be used to develop outer space. In order to gain goodwill from the public, peaceful development space could be a good opportunity for clients in terms of corporate social responsibility, I think. These are the main space agencies in the world. Here I propose other agencies cooperate in forming a plan and negotiate with local clients and space agencies. And I also propose that the IAA, International Advertising Association, have an official contact with the space industry. The United Nations has their Office for Outer Space Affairs, which is responsible for promoting an international cooperation on peaceful uses of outer space. And IAA could be an agent for the United Nations to help promote the peaceful development of space. Last year, IAA made a memorial first visit to the United Nations to cooperate on climate exchange. The next visit will be the introduction of the Munich Olympics idea. I believe this contribution to space development could be a great opportunity and challenge for our communication industry's strategic corporate social responsibility. Children dream of Olympics in space. This picture, titled Dream, was drawn by a 10-year-old girl. Her comment was, "This year the Beijing Olympics was held. I enjoyed it a lot. Someday in the future, I wish to see the Olympics in space." Yes, kids dream of a Moon Olympics. So do we. Thank you.